Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to come in today. My name is Naja Smith. I work alongside Meredith in the Office of Online Learning and Support, and I am the instructional designer in that office. Today, we wanted to, first of all, bring to the students, because we work along with faculty, but we wanted to bring to the students some workshops that we think are beneficial, that they would be able, or that you would be able to benefit the most from. So throughout the semester, we are going to be hosting a series of PACER Ready workshops that are essentially to get you ready and set you up foundationally for an amazing academic career throughout the institution. So today, our very first workshop is Succeeding in Online Discussions. And essentially, we are going to be talking about how to write effective posts, engage with your peers, and how to manage your workload when it regards to online discussions. So the flow of what we're going to be doing today for our agenda, I'm going to be talking about what exactly is online discussions. Writing effective discussion posts, understanding online discussion expectations. We're going to briefly talk about the use of AI. We have another workshop that we're going to delve a little bit deeper into, but just for the use of AI when it comes to discussions is going to be what we're going to be talking about today. And then managing your discussion workload, and then just some overall key takeaways. So why does online discussions matter, right? And the most important is it offers a platform for students to be able to communicate with one another, right? So when it comes to learning online, and this is also for face-to-face instruction, obviously a lot of students use a lot of faculty use discussion posts when they're doing in-person classes. But when you are taking an online class, there is a disconnect when it comes to when you're taking an online course and your interaction with your fellow students, right? So the whole purpose of online discussions is to offer you another form of communication and connection with your classmates. It replaces that in-class conversation that a lot of online courses are lacking because they're online, right? And even when you're in course, or when you're in an in-person class, how long does a class generally last? It lasts roughly about 50 minutes. Now you have 50 minutes in order to get as much content that the professor is trying to give you, to get your homework, to understand the material, ask your questions. There's not a whole lot of room for conversation in that time. And so your professor will use discussion posts to delve a little bit deeper into your understanding. Where is it that they need to potentially touch base on? What are some of the things or the topics that generally the whole class understands? And then maybe what are some things that they don't? Or how can we bridge the gap of communication that could be potentially lacking whenever we are taking online courses or whenever we're in an in-person class that we have too much content to get through, right? It helps the students demonstrate their understanding of the course content. And you get to engage with your classmates. So all of these things are the reasons why discussion posts are so important and why faculty use it. It's not just busy work. I know a lot of students feel as if, well, I have 2 discussion posts due. I'm just going to do whatever. But that is your time to not only show the faculty, not only show your professor what you know, but also to help your fellow peers understand concepts if they don't as well. Alrighty, so what does writing effective discussion posts, what does that kind of look like, right? So, the first thing you have to do is you have to be able to read the prompt carefully and correctly. And you want to respond to all parts of the prompt. Sometimes students they get into these situations where they see a whole prompt where it says compare and contrast these 2 ideas and then explain a real life example. what they do is they see explain a real life example, they completely forget to compare and contrast. Or they do the opposite where they compare and contrast these two ideas and then they don't provide a real life example. It's important whenever you're going through your discussion posts, take your time, break it up into sections and make them into manageable sizes so that when it is time for you to go through the post, you're not speaking off of just like the first thing that pops in your head, but you're taking your time and you're analyzing everything about that post. Use course readings, concepts, and examples. The whole purpose of the instructor putting the discussion post in the first place is because they want you to pull from what you already are knowing, what you already know from your own life, but as well as what are you learning in the content. Usually your discussion post is aligned with an assignment or it's aligned with a reading. So utilize that. Don't just try to answer a question as quick as possible, but bring in some of that knowledge that you are actively learning or even some things that you may have learned prior. Be clear, organized, and concise. Now, when I say concise, it does not mean write the shortest possible response that you could have. Well, there's a thing whenever you are creating your responses that there might be information that is not important into that discussion. If the professor is asking you to compare two things and then you randomly decide that you wanted to talk about the day you had, we understand like that's not on topic. So making sure you're staying aligned with what are the guidelines of that post. And then also proofread before you post it. A lot of instructors can definitely tell when you rushed your assignment because there's all kinds of spelling errors. There's all different types of grammatical errors. This is a piece of your work. You want to be able to showcase it because you're showing it to your whole class. It's not just to your instructor. You want to be able to put that content out there and be proud of it. So take the time to proofread, go through edits, maybe not even post your initial response just yet. Put it in a Word document, make edits there, and then put it into your actual course discussion. Alrighty, so some expectations and rubrics. Every faculty member, every student has a syllabus, okay? Every course has a syllabus. The important thing that you need to remember is utilize what the rubric is. If they are offering it to you, because usually any assignment that they have, they're gonna have some type of grading guideline, utilize that rubric, right? Address all parts of the prompt, which we already talked about. Use that course, for example, Emerge with Your Peers. And like these are all the things that are a part of that grading criteria. Do your assignment early enough so that you can be able to reply to posts from your peers. Some common mistakes that actually lower your grade is, now, again, this is something where every faculty member, every professor has their own rubric. So make sure you look at your professor's rubric before you proceed. But these are the foundational things that most students are going to lose points on just overall from when you're submitting any type of assignment, but specifically this. Posting too late to get responses. If you put your initial post out there so late that you are not going to be able to get you're not going to be able to get feedback from your peers. You're not really going to be able to get a full grasp of the scope of the assignment because you decided that, okay, well, I don't really care. I'm just going to post whatever. But this is the time to engage with one another, to ask those questions, to dig deeper. And if you decide to post later, then you really are cheating yourself out of that learning experience. Repeating what other people have already said. That is cheating, first of all. Just to kind of put that out there, that is cheating. And if all you're doing is copying off of what someone else said, then what was the purpose of even posting in the first place? A discussion board is meant for you to put your ideas out there, to put what you are understanding. I know what Sally Mae feels. I know what John feels. How do I feel? You know? And then writing to inform too informally or too briefly. If the post says to expand upon something and you say, yeah, okay, I like this post, it was good, the reading was great. That's not giving anyone anything. Go ahead and break down what exactly was it, what part of it spoke to you, where do you agree and where do you disagree, So take that and expand upon it. So some strong versus weak post comparisons. So the discussion post that I have put together was, why are online discussions important in online courses? And what strategies can help students succeed in them? Okay, that's literally what the presentation is on right now, right? So a student responds, online discussions are important because they help students talk about the class. They are useful because everyone has to participate and share their thoughts. I think students can succeed in discussions by trying their best and doing their work on time. In my opinion, online discussions are good and help students learn more about the subject. That's why they are important. Do we think that that is a strong or a weak discussion post? It is, great job, everyone. That is a weak discussion post. It's not just about word length, right? Like, you're not trying to get as many words on the page, but what exactly is it that we're pulling out of this, right? Okay, online discussions are important because they help students talk about the class. Which class? What class? They are useful because everyone has to participate and share their thoughts. I think students can succeed in discussions by trying their best and doing their work on time. Well, give me something else. How do you know? Do you have positive or negative experiences with that? And then, in my opinion, online discussions are good and help students learn more about the subject. Again, they're good for what reasons? Which subject? Because I know that I would never want to put a discussion post in for a math class. You know what I mean? So, and then that is why they are important. So you basically scratched the surface, yes. Now we have some worse examples where it's like the discussion, it was good, everyone was nice, you know what I mean? But this one is what probably we commonly see from students because they want to try to complete the assignment as quick as possible. But you aren't adding anything, you aren't backing any of that up, right? So the next same exact prompt, the next student response. Online discussions are important because they allow students to engage with course materials and classmates in the same way in-class discussions do. Since online courses do not have face-to-face interaction, discussion boards help create a sense of community and allow students to learn from different perspectives. One strategy that can help students in online discussions is carefully reading the discussion prompt and responding to all parts of the question. When posts connect to course readings or examples, they show understanding and effort. Another helpful strategy is maintaining time effectively by posting early in the week instead of waiting until last minute. This gives students more time to think and respond to classmates. Overall, online discussions are most effective when students plan ahead, stay engaged, and continue meaningful responses that move the conversation forward. Do we see a difference in the way those posts were? They said the same thing, but we have one student that not only they delved a little bit deeper, they said, well, online courses don't have face-to-face interaction. Okay, well, now you gave meaning to exactly what it is that makes discussion posts so important. And then they gave one strategy in helping students succeed, and then they expanded upon that. That is what we're looking for. That is what your instructors are looking for. They want to see that you not only are just answering the question, because anybody can just answer the question, but expand upon that knowledge. Tell us exactly what it is, because I'm currently giving you the presentation on the answer. That is what your teachers are doing every single time that they are up there. They're up in front of your classrooms. Anytime they are logging into your Blackboard, they are giving you a foundation of an answer. Utilize that content and that knowledge. All right. Now, it does not stop at just the initial post. A lot of times, your instructors are going to ask for one. Traditionally, it's more so two. Reply to two of your peers. That is just as important as the initial post. The initial post is getting your original thoughts out there. Now that you have it out there, what are you going to do with it? Everyone are coming into your course, or they're coming into the course with a different experience. They may have come with different knowledge. This could be someone's second time taking the course and they've already know the answer. This can be someone's very first time in college. They're a first generation student and they're like, well, I don't know what's supposed to be important. That is your time to, when you read those posts, you reply with actual meaningful, and that opens the dialogue between students. So engaging with you, why are writing meaningful replies good for your peers? Well, first and foremost, it shows respect to other people's ideas. How you took the time to write your post, they are also taking the time to write their post. It deepens understanding of a topic. Sometimes someone can bring in an idea that you had zero clue made sense. You're like, oh, I had no idea that is how you process that piece of information. And then it also keeps the discussion active. It allows for you to be able to have a connection and a community within your course with your peers. So some ways to engage with your peers. Now, this is not just a checklist for students to be like, okay, well, as long as I have this, this, and this, then I could just reply to their post. You want to be an active listener. You want to be an engaged listener. So whenever that person whatever that person posted, actually read it and think through, oh, if this person was in front of me, how would I respond? If they said, oh, this is how I thought of this test, or this is how I solved this problem, would you say, okay, great, and walk away? Or would you be like, no, can you show me, because I don't know what that is? Can you explain it to me, right? So you want to reference specific things that classmate has posted. What did they put in their response that you liked, that you were like, I didn't get that. Ask thoughtful follow-up questions in that reply post, right? Add a new perspective or an example that maybe if they said in their post, I didn't really understand anything this week for this, so I'm giving it my best. This is what I think I understand. But you wrote your post on what you know that they're missing. Utilize that time in their reply. Don't just use it as just like, okay, let me just count my 2. But you're like, oh, I actually understood what the professor was talking about in this example. This is what he meant. You know what I mean? So utilize that as a way to connect with your peers. Bridge a gap sometimes. And then maintain a respectful and positive tone. No one likes to be told that their work is wrong. No one likes to be said that is bad, you know? How many times have we had this idea or we said something and someone was like, that was stupid? And then understanding how that made you feel. Whenever someone is putting their work out on the discussion board, every last one of their classmates can see it, and as well as they can see yours as well. It is important that when you are replying to people, it is okay to give critique without being mean. It is okay to offer up a positive along with a negative. Right? Like, okay, I think you might be going down the wrong path. However, I really liked how you connected this idea, because I never would have thought of that. It is okay to be positive whenever you are giving people critique. There is no reason to ever be overly negative. This was the worst response. This was the worst discussion post I've ever seen in my life. Absolutely not. Still come with treat others how you want to be treated. If you were to receive the critique, how would it make you feel? So think about it in that perspective. So here are some examples. If they have a post and this is your reply, I never thought about it that way, but I guess you're right. Online discussions can be helpful depending on the class. Do we think that is a strong or a weak reply? It is a weak reply, right? And the reason that is I never thought about what that way. Because I'm sure, especially if it's the first couple posts the first couple of students that decided to post early, they're going to get a lot of replies. especially because they're the first one. So if you have like 5 people, everybody's going to be replying to one another, right? Give examples, show that you actually read it, right? But I guess your online discussions can be helpful depending on the class. I would say, well, which class? The classes that are the most beneficial are in my communication classes and my humanities classes. I don't really see a need for having discussion posts in my math class unless it's for like study help, things like that. So just expand upon it. The next one, I agree with your post. You made some good points, and I think discussions are important too. Again, is that a strong or a weak reply? It is going to be a weaker reply. Again, yes, you agree with their post. And now I do want to preface by saying this. Do not agree to every single post if you don't actually agree. A lot of times that students, even when I was a student, that anytime I would do my discussion board and then the first thing someone says, I agree, that's great. And I'm like, what part do you agree with? Because I said like 3 different things that I'm like, I kind of was on the fence about this. So adding examples, showing that you actually read the content and not just that, like, they're like, oh, I hate puppies. And then you're like, I agree. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of, I didn't know, why do you hate puppies? Because I know it chased me when I was a kid, like, so you have to, like, and that opens up that dialogue. This is an example of a strong reply. I liked your point about how online discussions help build a sense of community in online courses. I also agree that posting earlier in the week makes it easier to have meaningful conversations instead of rushed responses. One strategy that has helped me is drafting my post after reading the discussion prompt, but waiting a few hours before submitting it so that I can review and improve it. Do you think instructors should encourage earlier posting deadlines to help with time management? Not only did they answer, but they also gave their own personal experience. And then they followed up with a question, right? And that opened up the dialogue for them to have a conversation. Now, a lot of times the instructor wants to see that you have 2 replies. They never said 2 replies to 2 different at 2 different posts. Sometimes the reply is an entire chain of, well, you said this. Well, I agree with this. And then, you know what I mean? So, but again, make sure you get that clarity off of your rubrics and from your syllabus, from your instructors. But this opens up the dialogue for not only just those 2 people to come in, but then you have another person who has posted, who has said, well, actually, I don't think that that it is a time saver because I'm wasting my time having to do X, Y, and Z, and I don't have time for this. But even if it is like a more negative viewpoint on this, it still opens up the floor for a conversation. Alrighty, so the use of AI in discussion boards. AI is booming a lot, especially when it comes to students using it in their courses. I'm going to again preface by saying every instructor has a different view on how they want AI to be utilized in their course, in their classroom. Please make sure you get clarity prior to make sure you know what is accepted in your professor's course prior to using any type of AI. So there is appropriate and inappropriate uses for AI, especially when it comes to online discussions. We are going to be having another workshop dedicated all to AI in general for students, what is considered appropriate and inappropriate for students, but specifically for discussion boards, that's going to be what I'm going to focus on today. The appropriate uses of AI when it comes to discussion boards: brainstorming an idea or organizing your thoughts before you write them. How many times have we have scatterbrain where I'm like, I know I want to talk about this and I know I want to talk about this, but I don't know if I want to put it in this order. Clarifying confusing concepts or terms, right? So sometimes, the instructor asked me to do this, and the term is, I'm like, I didn't understand it in class. I didn't understand it in the textbook. What does this mean? What is this prompt even asking me, right? Like sometimes you just need to put the entire prompt in there, but like, what is it saying? Because I don't even know what it's asking. What is it asking me to compare? What does it want me to do? checking for grammar, spelling, and any sentence clarity. It is okay to put your discussion post through like, okay, well, let me see, is it spelled correctly? You can utilize it like how we have the writing room, utilize it as a partner, but not your main source of how you are turning in your information. Generate outlines or maybe even drafting practice responses. If you have a prompt that you want to put in at your initial prompt, and you're like, I don't know if are people even gonna know what I'm trying to say? Put your prompt into the AI engine, and then say, act like you're a student and respond to my prompt. Are they going to get what I want them to say? Or not what I want them to say. Are they going to get what I'm trying to say? Things like that. AI should support your thinking, not replace it. If the instructor wanted to know what a computer thought, he would have asked a computer. He did not ask a computer, he asked you. So and what we have that computers don't, we have experience, we have life, we have things that we are bringing in from personal backgrounds. And that is what the instructor wants you to showcase. They want you to showcase your individuality. So inappropriate uses of AI. First one, straight up plagiarism. It writes the entire post for you, and all you do is copy, paste, and put it in. Do not do that. Produces responses you did not understand and cannot explain. One of the biggest things that students are running into is when you are posting what an AI engine has told you to say, and it comes time to back up what you said, because let's say your instructor is like, I don't think this person wrote this. Can we have a quick meeting to discuss if you used AI on this assignment? You'd be like, no, I didn't. I didn't put this in ChatGPT. Okay, well, you just explained the theory of relativity. Explain it to me now. You see what I'm saying? You already wrote it. You clearly know it, right? So explain it to me now. And if you are like a deer in headlights and you don't know, it's because once you learn something, once you absorb that information, we all know when you have taken a test and you have studied that page front, backwards, upside down, sideways, I might not know all the other answers in the world, but I know 1 + 1 = 2, So when you take the time to do the work yourself, you know it. You might not be able to regurgitate exactly what you said in that post, but you're going to be able to take off the primary points of whatever you were talking about. And if an inappropriate use is if it violates your instructor's academic integrity policy. You are responsible for ensuring that every single post reflects your own understanding and your own voice. And so when I say that and it violates that academic integrity, you don't want to pass off work as your own, ever. Whether it is you talking to someone and asking them to write your paper for you, you copying a paper, an old student's assignment, that is all cheating. That is plagiarism. And how I like to think of it, right? Like how you know if something is appropriate versus inappropriate. No one wants to have a discussion with just a computer. No one wants that. And I'm going to explain it like this. Say me and you are students and we are having a conversation about something after class. We're in front of each other. You ask me a question, I say, hold on. This is the answer. And you're like, oh, okay, great. Well, what's your opinion on this? Hold on. This is what you're doing when you're utilizing AI. You are completely taking yourself out of the equation, and you are only utilizing this computer that could potentially hallucinate some of these answers because it's taking information from a whole lot of different places. We want to hear your voice. We want to hear what you have to say. You can use it to support you, but you don't need it to be you, if that makes sense. And then as always, make sure you look over your course syllabus for your instructor's specific guidelines on use of AI. They will tell you what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. They may tell you what assignments are acceptable and what aren't. All right, so this one is just kind of more of a general managing your discussion workload. Review your deadlines early on in the week. Review your deadlines early on in the week. If you know you have every single time you have a discussion post, it's always going to be due on Wednesday, and your replies are always going to be due on Sunday. Plan accordingly. Make sure to take it into small chunks, which is that last bullet point. Break it into shorter sessions. We all have like a very busy, especially when you're a student, right? You're probably taking 3 to 5 courses at any given time, right? Like in one semester. And you, not only are you taking courses, but sometimes you work, right? You have things to do after. Sometimes you have a family that you have to support. You have extracurricular activities that you want to do. Life gets busy. Take it in chunks, but also put yourself on a deadline and make sure that you are meeting your own deadlines. If I know it's due on Wednesday, for me, it's due on Tuesday. If I know that my responses are due on Sunday, I'm going to go back and check on Thursday to see if anybody has posted anything. You have to hold your own self accountable for your own deadlines. Draft posts ahead of time. And then also set reminders for your peer responses. These are just small things that you can do to ensure that you set yourself up foundationally so that you can succeed at the university. So some of the big takeaways just of what we've talked about today is quality discussion posts demonstrate your learning. There is a reason the instructor put the discussion post on there in the first place. If you look at your syllabus, because your syllabus tells you everything that you need to know about that class. If you look at your syllabus usually it's like either the first or second page, it has learning objectives, okay? Those are what the instructor expects for each student to have achieved by the end of the course. And if you look at those, and I'm telling you, if you look at those and then you look at your discussion post, it's going to align with one of those learning objectives. It is not just busy work. The instructor is not just wanting to fill your time up as much as they possibly can, but every single thing that is in that class, it has meaning, it has purpose, and it's for a reason. Quality posts matter than word count. I can give you 15 pages of crap. I'm just going to tell you what it is. I can give you 15 pages I can just talk and talk and talk and talk all day long. And it means absolutely nothing. And I can give you one paragraph of so much substance, and that tells you everything that you need to know about me and what I like, what I don't like. There is a difference. Give substance. Don't just try to match. However, if you see the longest post and you're like, okay, I'm just going to make my post about as long, but you're not going to put any kind of substance in it. Be proud of whatever you're putting out there, and make sure that whenever you do click submit, that you can back up what you're saying. That you can say, I know that I wrote this myself. I know that I want to compare these two things, and I want to engage with my peers. These are all things that you are doing to better your own experience in that class overall. Engagement strengthens understanding and community. Sometimes students may not always feel the most comfortable going to their professor. It could be that the professor might be a little bit scary to them, right? Like however they experience that. Sometimes if you talk to a peer, they may know an answer that you don't. Right, like there have been plenty of times where, as a student, I was like, I really don't want to bother I think this is such a silly, stupid question, and I really don't want to bother the faculty. I really don't want to bother the professor with this question. And then, as you're talking to a peer, you're like, well, this was the question it was. And like, oh, I know that one. I got that answer right. Here's how I understood it. And it opens up the forum. It opens up the floor for dialogue between two people who may not have talked to each other prior. And then, of course, planning ahead reduces stress. So just take it in chunks, take your time. Don't try to do everything at the last minute. I completely understand that life can get crazy. Life can life always, but it's incredibly important that you take things into smaller, manageable chunks so that even if life happens, you've already got a large chunk of it done. So if it means doing all of your discussion posts for all of your classes, I'm dedicating that on Tuesday. And then the only thing I have left is to do my responses. I'm going to do them on on Friday. So know who you are, know what you can actually manage, and how you can break that up, And then if you need help, a great use of AI is using it as a study tool, a study helper. And you be like, okay, I have two X page papers due, as well as a discussion post. Help me come up with a plan. Help me come up with a strategy to be able to break this up. It will give you, okay, so on this day you need to have the draft done. This day you need to have this done. You need to have this done. Use AI as a partner, but not as your main source of information in terms of like, that's all you're giving. So, yes. So that is the workshop for today. Y'all are PACER ready. I believe in every last one of y'all. Just please, please, please just take your time and actually take what we're saying seriously, because we're not just saying it because we just want to fill your afternoon for an hour, but we actually want you all to succeed. And we want every last one of you to feel as if whenever you are submitting an assignment, specifically a discussion post, that you are meeting those marks that at the foundational level that the instructor is looking for. Right. And so if y'all enjoyed today, and if I would love if we see all of you guys at our next workshop. These are all of the ones that we're having for this semester, but the next one is using AI ethically and effectively as a student. We hit on it a little bit today, but we want you guys to be successful in every single way on this, and not only just in the university, but also when you're going out into the workforce as well. So, but yeah, our next one is going to be March 16th. So hopefully all of y'all can join.